The F1 movie felt like what would happen if you gave a freshman at NYU a year's supply of Adderall and $350 million. This video does not contain spoilers for the F1 movie because you can't spoil what was never a mystery. The F1 movie felt like what I imagine Disney World feels like for a 37-year-old father of 4. Also, this video is brought to you by computer-generated fireworks. I saw the F1 movie last night and I went into it totally blind. The only thing I knew was that Brad Pitt was in it. The too long didn't read of this review is that I think I had fun and the movie looked great, but it wasn't very good. My first thought upon leaving the theater was that this movie was Top Gun Maverick's evil twin, and I didn't even learn that they were directed by the same person until this morning. We've got a grizzled veteran who's talented but rough around the edges, a young, cocky rookie that butts heads with our main character, and a one-dimensional love interest that makes it 110% clear that there were no women in the writing room for this movie.
Somehow you'll be back in a fighter plane with your tail on fire.
I also didn't get the impression that anyone wanted to be there. Brad Pitt felt like he was gritting his teeth through every line. Javier Bardem felt like he was reading his lines for the first time, which is crazy because he's usually wonderful in everything I see him in. And even Hans Zimmer's score felt paint by numbers. Don't get me wrong, this movie still had above average music because Hans Zimmer is incredibly talented, but I can usually tell when he's really emotionally invested in a project, and it felt like he wasn't emotionally invested here. The F1 movie felt like a 40,000 square foot mansion with only bar stools for furniture. Hi, I have the Formula One movie salad. Can I interest you in any fresh, cracked, unsubtle exposition? Great, just tell me when. The prevailing issue with the movie is that it's big and shiny and expensive, and there are big name actors in there, and they were so busy making all of that happen that they forgot to make the characters interesting. So Javier Bardem owns this Formula One team, right? And Carrie Condon is the first female technical director of a Formula One team. And they're the classic bad Formula One team, right? They have a car that stinks and the car needs to get better, right? But they can't rebuild the car till next season. So they need some edge that'll get their car ahead and make their car a little bit better. And Carrie Condon doesn't even come up with the idea. Brad Pitt comes up with the idea.
We need to build our car for combat.
How am I supposed to make that safe?
Who said anything about safe?
Sure, she engineers it and tests it and makes it happen, but it's not her idea, it's Brad Pitt's idea. It just felt like such a waste to have an accomplished woman in STEM do literally nothing but fall in love with Brad Pitt. The F1 movie felt like it had been generated by a large language model that had only been trained on Cars 2 and Apple keynotes. There was a truly dizzying amount of product placement in this movie. Firstly, it was an Apple original, so there were Apple products everywhere. And secondly, it's a movie about Formula One, which itself is rife with product placement because every driver is sponsored by companies. So you end up just seeing 2 hours and 36 minutes of product placement. Anytime now. I don't know. Carrie Condon and Damson Idris had really nice accents. That was fun.
If you had any constructive criticism for each other, what would it be?
I think it's really wonderful that Apex are giving second chances to the elderly.
To be honest, that was something I really liked about this movie. I liked how diverse it was, not just ethnically, but there were actors from so many different countries because Formula One is a really international sport, right? So it makes sense to have people from all walks of life making up a Formula One team, and that was cool. The F1 movie felt like a 2 hour, 36-minute Budweiser Super Bowl ad. The F1 movie is a personality hire. That's what it is. Is it particularly qualified? No. Does it bring the energy? Yes. And it needs to be said that I don't know anything about Formula One. Less than nothing about Formula One, and I was still insulted by how much this movie felt the need to talk down to me about Formula One. The F1 movie felt like it was so busy holding your hand that it didn't notice your arm had been blown off for half a mile. Even though the general vibe of F1 was Top Gun Maverick with too much corporate oversight, the two main film comparisons that came to mind for me were Moneyball and Ford v Ferrari. Moneyball is an all-timer for me. I love almost everything about it, and it's my favorite Brad Pitt performance.
Guys, Check your reports or I'm gonna point at Pete. Get on base.
My favorite thing about Moneyball is that it's a baseball movie that teaches you absolutely nothing about baseball. You don't need to know anything about baseball, and having watched Moneyball, you have not learned anything about baseball. It is a thoughtful character piece about perseverance and going against the grain that just so happens to have baseball going on in the background. F1 was trying so hard to make sure that I wasn't lost that it gave me 10 times more information than I needed, and I totally tuned it out. The other movie that F1 made me think about was Ford v Ferrari, which is a movie I haven't seen in a long time, but I remember it taking the opposite approach of F1, meaning that it was characters first, race second, nitty-gritty racing details last or not at all. Like, I just remember being absolutely captivated by Christian Bale's portrayal of Ken Miles, and Brad Pitt was fine as Sonny, but he just didn't do anything. The character was static and not interesting. I didn't learn anything about him. The F1 movie felt like watching Lance Armstrong race the Tour de France on a unicycle. Another thing that Moneyball and Ford v Ferrari have in common is that they don't have a typical Hollywood ending. I don't want to spoil either movie for you, but the ending is not what you would find in a typical Hollywood movie or a typical sports movie. I saw F1's ending coming a mile away, which is not necessarily a problem. That is common with sports movies. You can have a predictable ending if you make the journey compelling. The F1 movie felt like eating a cup of just sprinkles. Technically, this movie was brilliant. I thought the visuals were awesome. I thought the race footage was really kinetic and compelling. The sound design was great. The editing was really good. Aside for some bits of dialogue, there were some dialogue scenes or like scenes around a table or like scenes in a large room where the way the camera cut didn't make a whole lot of sense, but largely the action editing was really great. The F1 movie felt like a meeting that could have been an email. I don't know. I've been sitting here rambling in my sweltering hot apartment about this movie for like an hour. It was fine. It wasn't great. It wasn't awful either, though. Like, I think it's still an objectively fine movie. There's something to like in it for just about everyone. It could have been so much more. I don't want to get off on a whole diatribe about show don't tell and trusting your audience, but this movie tells you everything, and it does not trust you to understand. I just think it comes down to there being too much corporate oversight in this movie. I think there is a subtle, engaging, compelling movie in this movie somewhere, but like, it tested poorly in focus groups or whatever. The F1 movie felt like someone accidentally spilled some movie into their bowl of product placement. The F1 movie was just kind of fine. Not bad, not great. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, maybe of 5.5, 6. Sweet Lou, you're all seeing and all knowing. What would you give the F1 movie on a scale of 1 to 10? Sweet Lou still doesn't want to talk to you.
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
I'll tell you what, though, I definitely wish I saw this movie in IMAX. This was a really, really pretty movie. It was shot for IMAX. I wish I would have seen this one in IMAX. I don't think it would have made me enjoy the movie anymore, but I think it would have enhanced the racing scenes and made what was already a visually compelling movie even more visually compelling. The F1 movie felt like listening to Beethoven's Ninth Symphony played through the speakers of a second-generation iPod Touch. So, yeah. Thanks for watching my little review of the F1 movie. I had an okay time. Did you see the F1 movie? If you saw the F1 movie, did you have a nice time? I've literally been doing this so long that my wrists are sore. I still haven't looked through my pictures from my photo walk this morning. I'm going to do that after I'm done filming. But in editing, I will place my favorite photos from my photo walk here. And I didn't plug anything yesterday because I was in a hurry, but if you want to further support my work, there are ways to support me in the description. I'll see you tomorrow.